Thank you, sir. Yeah, Mansum, you can start with the event.
Yeah. So, a cheerful afternoon to all of you. Hope you all are safe and healthy. I'm Simran Kaur, a junior coordinator of Atithya, the Tourism and Hospitality Club of Amstel Mall. And on the behalf of Atithya, I bid a very warm welcome to everyone who took out their valuable time and joined us today to be a part of Paryatan, the Annual Tourism and Hospitality Conclave of Amstel Mall, which is organized on the occasion of National Tourism Day. Before we get started, I would like to express my sincere appreciation to the guest speakers, Dr. Swash Goel, Mr. Shashwat Sharma, Mr. Vikram Sharma, Mr. Prashant Singh, and Mr. Rajesh Rakeja for accepting our invitation for the panel discussion. It is an honorable moment for all of us to have your prestigious presence in today's event. And I would also like to thank the Director of AMSIL Mod, Professor Dr. Neelu Ramitra, and the faculty of AMSIL Mod for joining us today in this event. I believe that this panel discussion will be very interesting and productive, and it will be worth your precious time. Now, I would like to request Professor Vikrant Kaushal to address the gathering and cast upon us the light of his knowledge regarding the National Tourism Day.
Thank you, Mansimran. Very good afternoon to all who are joining us online today. Today, that is the 25th of January 2022, is being observed as the National Tourism Day in our country, which for this year is being celebrated under the aegis of the Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav, the 75-week grand celebration that was launched by our Honorable Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi to mark the 75 years of India's independence. So this also supersedes the theme of National Tourism Day 2021 last year, which was Dekho Apna Desh. So while we talk about National Tourism Day in India, we must also acknowledge that there is also, an international World Tourism Day, again observed by UNWTO on 27th of September every year. However, our National Tourism Day to celebrate, is in this country is to celebrate this sector's vibrancy and also displays a commitment to welcoming the world's visitors to appreciate that the treasure of exquisite mountains, culture, heritage, valleys, and so much we have to offer. So this National Tourism Day can be viewed as a complementing commitment that is going to further enhance and further contribute towards the sustainable goals that we aim to achieve. So while we do that, while we maximize maximum contribution from every strata of society. Another key reason to celebrate National Tourism Day in India is to educate people about the host of benefits that traveling can offer to the economy because of the trickle-down effect toward the the whole economy and society itself. Not to mention the fact that tourism represents a fascinating case of incorporating the triple bottom line approach, wherein we talk about the people, profit, and the planet. See, we talked about pre-COVID. We just talked about the COVID period, but again, going a bit, backtracking a bit, the pre-COVID period saw a sharp, improvement in the arrival figures of the country, and but we are certain that probably in few months down the line, sooner than later, I would say, things are going to get better, and so the pandemic may have kind of tested our spirits, tested the spirit of the industry, but in turn has made this whole sector more resilient, and we have become more adapting to newer realities than ever before. Panel discussions such as the one which is being planned today to mark the occasion is essential approach. It also shows the commitment of the Indian Institute of Management, Sirmaur. And I am extremely grateful to the Honorable Director, Professor Neelu Ramitra, for having supported this industry by preparing professionals for this sector. I'm also glad to appreciate the efforts of the students who are enrolled in the sectoral MBA program that we offer in tourism and hospitality management, and especially the club Atithya for having taken such initiative. So this year we are having this event online, but I'm pretty sure going forward we'll be having the other editions of this event on the campus itself. So without further ado, I request the organizers to take the event further. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. So now I would like to move on. Now, Atithya, the Tourism and Hospitality Club of AMS Mall, is actually very proud to introduce their flagship event, Paryatan, our annual conclave completely dedicated to the domain of tourism and hospitality, where we have various national level competitions and interactions with industry stalwarts to give an opportunity to the students to understand the multiple layers of industry experience and an opportunity to get the first-hand knowledge and build meaningful connections. So this event is another cap in the feather of AMS and more, which is the first IM to offer MBA in tourism and hospitality. And it's an honor for Atithya to organize this exciting event within the first year of their operation. So talking about the theme of the event, which is the Chameleon Era, the need of a more agile industry, it directly refers to the post-pandemic era, which currently requires substantial adaptability and agility, especially in the case of tourism and hospitality industry, which is one of the most dynamic industries. This event would primarily focus on highlighting the topics that are imperative to cope up with the industry's changing requirements, given the post-pandemic era. The interactions between the students and the industry experts are actually intended to promote innovation, skill development, and training students to fit into the workforce in the future. So the learnings from the discussions would actually instill confidence in both students and other attendees in pursuing different domains in tourism and hospitality management. Now I would like to invite Sri Krishna to take over and introduce our guest speakers to the audience.
Thank you, Mansimran. Good afternoon, respected Director Ma'am, the esteemed speakers, faculty, and my fellow students. Today, we have a panel of 5 illustrious speakers who are all at their respective positions in their fields. First up, Mr. Swash Goel, the founder chairman of STIC Travel and Air Charter Group. He started the STIC Travel in 1973, which has now established itself as one of the largest B2B travel businesses in India. He also holds various important positions on various government and industry associations. He is a member of the National Tourism Advisory Council, Ministry of Tourism. He is the past president of Indian Association of Tour Operators and many more. He has also been an honorary member of various government bodies such as the Tourism Board of Government of India, Airport Authority of India, PATA Indian Chapter, and member of the Tourism Committee of the Planning Commission. We welcome you to the Paryatan on behalf of Atithya. I am Sirmor. Mr. Shashwat Sharma, the Senior Director at Tribo Hotels. He's a computer science engineer with an MBA in International Business and Marketing. He has worked with market tycoons such as LG Electronics, Bharti Airtel before starting Cafe Indica Interior Technologies and functioning as its business head. He has worked with LiveSpace for around 4.5 years before joining Tribo as its senior director. We welcome you to the Paryatan on behalf of Atithya. I am Sirmor. Mr. Vikram Sharma, the multi-property director of human resources at Western Gurgaon. After his graduation from IHM Mumbai, he did his masters in XLRI Jamshedpur. He has worked with the major players in the hospitality industry, such as the Hyatt Group, the Ritz-Carlton, Westin, JW Marriott, among others. He has been named as the Young Human Resources Leader of India by the Federation of Hotels and Resorts Association of India in 2017. The HR Leader of the Year for APEC by Marriott International. He has also been named as the top 100 minds in the hospitality industry in 2018. We welcome you to the Paryatan on behalf of Atithya. I am Sirmor. Mr. Prashant Singh, the Director of Revenue Management at Roseate Hotels and Resorts. He has done his graduation from IHM Lucknow, after which he started his career in Pullman, Gurgaon Central as management trainee. After that, he worked in the Holiday Inn with the historical hotel, the Imperial, New Delhi. Now he is functioning as the Director of Revenue Management and E-Commerce Distribution for the Roseate New Delhi, the Roseate House Aerocity, and the Roseate Ganges Rishikesh. We welcome you to the Paryatan on behalf of Atithya. I am Sirmor. Last but not the least, Mr. Rajesh Rakeja, the Vice President Global Commercial and Strategic Alliances. He did his graduation from IHM and a master's in marketing from IMT Ghaziabad. From then, he went on to work for renowned organizations such as the Air France, United Airlines, Expedia, World Air, Concur, Yatra, among others, before joining Dreamforce, and is now functioning as the Vice President Global Commercial and Strategic Alliances. We welcome you to the Paryatan on behalf of Atithya. I am Sirmor. Now I request the Director, Professor Dr. Neelu Rometra ma'am, to give the inaugural address.
this seminar, the panel discussion in the area of tourism management on the occasion of the Tourism Day, I would say, to mark a day when we are trying to understand how best we can promote the tourism industry. And I think it's very important to talk about the issue, especially because it's important to understand now that how this industry is getting impacted, especially when you have the COVID situation around. Tourism is all about, as we understand it, roaming about to places, destination, good food, experiencing culture, having situations wherein you interact with people, have fun around, and so on and so forth, which to me is got a little affected. If not, little is not the enough word, it is got to a large extent affected by virtue of the fact that travel is restricted around the globe. We are limited by virtue of the fact that today, for the celebration of this important day also, we are not able to travel around and meet, but are able to just talk to each other online. So, shall I say that it's really unfortunate to be experiencing a seminar on tourism, a conclave on tourism on the screens, rather than meeting people, because to me, while you travel, it's not just the experience of destination, it's the experience of a complete culture, heritage, the people you come across while you are out. So I think as a layman to this industry, I'm not an expert on tourism or hospitality management, but as anybody would do, I also have been traveling to places across the globe, within India, outside India, and there is a lot to exchange in terms of experiences when you meet people. I think tourism and hospitality management as a sector is one of the key, areas which actually contributes to the uh, whole lot of happiness and prosperity of people associated with this industry. Actually, being in the state of Himachal Pradesh, this is one area which is very prominently discussed, promoted, because the economy of the state itself is dependent upon something called as tourism. In fact, all the Himalayan states, ranging from, if you start from Jammu and Kashmir, Ladakh, Himachal Pradesh, Uttarakhand, all these states, the whole lot of people, in fact, the prosperity in these regions is actually dependent on how much influx of tourists you have in these states or union territories, so to say. I mean, I come from Jammu and Kashmir, and this is a subject which is the subject in all the seminars, talks, and is a matter of concern promoting destination circuits in the Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir. We, as a state, it was Jammu, Kashmir, and Ladakh, and together it is huge area which has been taken care of and catered to in the form of promoting tourist places and tourist destinations. I recall of situations wherein people who are mostly foreigners, they have been visiting Ladakh right from taking a flight to Delhi, which is about 1 hour 10 minutes or so, without even bothering about the disturbance which we would have in Kashmir, off and on due to militancy or whatever. Nevertheless, if you go back and see that in Kashmir also, besides the fact that there were disturbances, tourism was one sector which was always, a matter of concern for the district administrations, for the overall governance or the governments that have ruled those places. Basically, what I want to say is that most of the regions wherein the lot of the people, the economy itself is dependent upon tourism as an industry. Those states are really conscious about promoting tourism and hospitality in their regions, and they have no choice, in fact, because most of the trades, the allied services associated with this industry, most of the families are into this kind of a business, promoting the tours and travels, the ticketing, and so on and so forth. Everything is associated with this industry. So that lot that can be discussed, deliberated, worked upon, introduced, amended, rectified, and acknowledged as well. I have used the term acknowledged because this is one sector which is got a lot of potential in terms of what can be done. But in many of the regions, it's the least touched sector. We promote so much in terms of other sectors, but hardly we have a controlled focus on this sector. There are delays in the completion of the projects. For example, the destinations declared as tourist spots, it takes years and years to promote those destinations, complete infrastructure, and so on and so forth. There are regions which are untapped, and even if they are identified historically as important, historical places which can be developed as important tourist spots as a matter of heritage restoration must take on. It takes government years and years to identify, and they keep pondering upon the issues. This is out of the personal context, some of the ways in which this industry can be promoted. But as a matter of fact, when we thought of this program, as you are connected, most of you who have joined for this seminar are also from the MBA Tourism and Hospitality Management program, currently on with the institution. I would like to emphasize that when I'm Sirmor actually thought about this sectoral program, our board was little apprehensive as to whether we would be in a position to promote this program. We'll have some admissions or not, because we are just the first IIM in the country which thought of this program and is successfully running. And we have students of 2 batches connected today for this program to the intake capacity of 60 students. And believe me, many of the universities and institutions which offer these programs in the form of an MBA, they were extremely happy and they appreciated IIM Sirmor very much for taking this lead, because in a way they said, now that an IIM is starting this program, this whole sector will automatically, at least in the education front, will get a boost. And many of the universities, departments which are running these programs are happy about the fact that we have launched this program, and a little upliftment has come up automatically, since we are the only IIM in the country which has given a program like this. I would not claim that the program currently being offered is not having any, it's an ideal kind of a curriculum that we are offering, or it's the curriculum which has no scope for improvement. I would only want to emphasize that we started this program, and today also, even yesterday, there was a discussion going on in my office wherein the industry inputs, we are trying to take the industry inputs to be able to transform on every year-to-year basis and bring about changes in our given electives to this program. We are taking feedback from the industry so that we are able to understand what are the needs of the industry in this sector. What is industry looking for as potential managers for this industry? What kind of capacities they are looking for in the students who graduate under these programs? Therefore, we are wanting to bring in those structural changes in our curriculum delivery as well, because it's not only a question of getting good participation as students, it's also a question of processing those students to be able to properly get utilized into the industry as per the needs of this industry. So as an educational institution, which is kind of having its a brand, already established brand, as an institution, we are completely committed to this industry. We are completely committed to the grooming of the managers who are participants in our program. We are completely committed to bring about any needed changes in our curriculum, in our electives, and promoting the way it is required to be received by the tourism and hospitality industry. We are the pioneer as an IIM in the country to have introduced an MBA Tourism and Hospitality Management. Nevertheless, we do not claim to be offering an ideal curriculum, but we are committing to offer a program which offers flexibility, which offers autonomy to the faculty, which offers kind of a grooming opportunities to our students who are industry ready and just suitable for getting absorbed as per the needs of tourism and hospitality industry. So the point which I wanting to emphasize on this important day, when we have all gathered to discuss about the challenges facing this industry, I would like to say that as a director and as an institutional head, we are committed to bringing about the best of to churn out the best of the managers who are just ready to be absorbed by the industry as hospitality and tourism management. It's a very, very important sector. And as I said, we are in Himachal Pradesh. We are, committed to the regional and the national priorities alike. So we are trying to bring about, churn out students, groom our students in such a manner so that they are alive to the indigenous problems of the regions. They are alive to the problems of the nation, to this industry alike. They are also got to be groomed. I always emphasize, I would put it this way, that culture, heritage, and tourism, they are the two sides of the same coin. You cannot de-link culture or heritage from tourism perspectives. And what is culture? Food is all about the habits. I mean, the culture is all about the habits, the notions, the beliefs, the food, the lifestyles. And why do we go in for tourism activity? Why do we go in for visiting destination? To experience those kind of, differentiation. And I personally feel any cultural assimilation is got to be there and has to be there for the purpose of, grooming into holistic personalities. But for the fact that we do not experience other cultures, any person will die like an aloof life. You cannot expect anybody not to experience by virtue of the fact that you are coming in close contact with the others. Therefore, I am personally very, very happy that we were able to launch a program in MBA Tourism and Hospitality Management. Currently, we are in the process of hiring faculty in this area, and some practicing managers as well will follow in the process. Currently, we are in the process of taking in more and more inputs from the industry, as I said, to be able to offer more of the options to our students in the form of electives, so that they are just industry ready for this sector and are absorbed as fast as possible. Currently, we are in the process of addressing the best opportunities for our students in this program, so that we are able to set our own benchmark and our own USP in this area. And some years hence on, we should be able to say with proud that our alumni, they are positioned at highest possible positions, not only in the country, but across the globe. Also, one more thing I would like to emphasize and request all the panelists to be generous about to bringing in opportunities to our students, to be generous about bringing us some kind of a feedback by virtue of the which the more and more of the restructuring of the program or grooming of our students can take place. Tourism is not limited to one region or one state or one country. Tourism is a worldwide phenomena. It's a phenomena which touches the lives, which is a phenomena which touches the globe across. It's a language of the world, I would say. It's a language of the world. It's a language of interactions which take place within various sections of humanity, I would say, all kinds of human beings get, like, love has no language. To me, all tourism also has no language, because the nature of vegetation, the trees, the flora and fauna might differ from country to country, region to region. But at the end of the day, it is the depiction of the nature. Anybody who enjoys nature would enjoy nature, any part of the country, any part of the world, any part of the region. So this is what I want to emphasize. This is not a small matter for us that we have ventured into this sector. It's a matter of pride for the institution to have ventured into the sector. And I, once again, through this discussion, as I said, I'm not an expert, but as an institutional head, as a representative of many of the faces who are connected today, I would request the industry, the government, and all other stakeholders to come forward and bring in feedback, give us suggestions, so that we can slowly and gradually benchmark on quality. We can slowly and gradually benchmark on our targets and bring best to our students, who bring good to this industry, who bring good to their lives, and are able to, give a boost at the national level, at the global level. I don't have, I am sure there's a lot to be shared by the following panelists. My gratitude to everybody, every panelist who is connected today and will follow with the discussions. And I'm sure the deliberations, which are also being recorded, I will go through those deliberations later when I get that opportunity to, go through the recorded conversations which will happen here on. But thank you very much, Vikrant, for inviting me on behalf of the students and the club. And many, many thanks to the panelists for joining us. I look forward to all kind of a support from government. I look forward to all kind of support from industry. I look forward to all kind of a support from anybody who is listening to us today on this important day, whereby we can openly come forward and prove ourselves as useful contributors to this sector of economy. I have full hopes from my students who have been selected for this program through a very rigorous competition. And I am sure the kind of grooming they are having from the faculty, the world-class faculty that we have around us, and visiting them from other institutions, they are much trained now, they are groomed well now. And I can assure and endorse that the way we are developing them in terms of competencies, the character, and the requirements, industry will not be disappointed should they hire them suitably. So thank you very much, and all the best to the organizing team of students and faculty for conceiving this, organizing this, and thank you to the IT team also for getting us all connected through the virtual mode. Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you, ladies,
Thank you,
boys
ma'am.
and girls, and good luck. Namaskar.
On behalf of the entire fraternity of the Indian Institute of Management, Sirmaur, extend my sincerest gratitude to the Honorable Director, IIM Sirmaur, Professor Neelu Romitra, for her valuable comments on the occasion of the National Tourism Day. Madam, your thoughts on tourism potentialities, challenges, travel restrictions, academic and industry vision and rigor that you have emphasized have enlightened our minds and have filled this online gathering with a renewed enthusiasm, I must say. I would also like to express my deepest gratitude to all the speakers for gracing the occasion, and we look forward to hearing your viewpoints on today's panel discussion topic. I am thankful to Chairperson Students Affairs, Professor Amrinder Singh, for his valuable contribution towards the event. I'm also thankful to the IT team of IIM Sirmaur for having provided this virtual platform for the smooth conduct of today's event. I would also like to thank the students and the Club Atithya for taking this initiative, and all the listeners who are online right now, who have joined or who will be joining later. So I request the Atithya team to take the proceedings further.
I'm sorry for interruption. Yes. Just a matter of concern. I would request that while you debate and discuss through the panel, have these discussions on, I think one important area I would personally want that students should be enlightened, that what are those possibilities in terms of available possibilities, or how should we be strategizing in terms of understanding the ways and means by virtue of the fact that we are just in the midst of the pandemic. So what are those virtual ways of promoting tourism? One important area of concern would be that agar hum travel nahi kar pa rahe hain, so how we are going to promote tourism virtually? So the ways and means of promotion of through by use of technology or whatever ways, I think this has got to be an area. It's a complete subject which has to be understood. कि अगर हम travel नहीं कर पा रहे हैं, so how we keep sustaining? This is an important thing. How sustenance is going to be possible. So yes, any expert, any expert should maybe requested to touch upon that. I think that will be very useful input, that how do we do it, how do we go about in this industry so that we are able to at least sustain.
Understood. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you.
So I request the Atithya team to take the proceedings further. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Professor Vikrant. Thank you, Dr. Professor Neelam. So yeah, now I would like to invite Srinivasan to initiate the panel discussion.
Thank you so much, Munsimran, and to all the esteemed guests. For the beginning, I would like to give a short introduction about the topic, an overview basically, and post which we can move on with the discussion with all the panelists. So as Mr. Swash Goel already mentioned, like in the beginning itself, we'll be having a lineup. We'll be following order where Dr. Swash Goel will begin with the discussion, which will be continued by Mr. Sashwat Sharma, and then Mr. Vikram Sharma, and Mr. Prashant Singh, and at last we would end with Mr. Rakesh Rakeja. So to move on with the overview about the topic, embracing change and unpacking leadership agility. So it kind of encircles a lot of areas where we as people, as corporates, managers, embracing the hybrid model by adapting the newer changes which have been happening or been taking place in the recent years in various verticals, and a clear envisioning which has resulted in a positive effect among the employees and a sense of inclusion which they get when there is a proper goal which has been followed by an organization, and any reimagining about the physical space which they have been working on. So basically the workspace, the evolution from cubicles to remote workspaces, or the future community building activities which the employees expect, which should be majorly happening, and which they feel as major obstacles for communicating with their colleagues and work as a single unit by creating the bond of a team and managing the fundamental needs of humans, which is basically a matter of fact, which is one basic aspect to be followed by any establishment in order to get that proper productivity and to reach their goals at the earliest possible time. And this can be discussed on a case-to-case basis based on the preferences of people and the increased work-life boundaries which they have when they work on remote areas, or when they work on like a face-to-face basis, or anywhere their mode of work is. And fostering an agile culture which not only comes from the employees as one, which is to be started particularly from the top management and the people who really want that to be seen in their employees, or in the outcome which they create, or the impact which they create through the products or services which they provide from the company as one entity. And focusing on the continuous learning, self-awareness in innovations and dynamic goals, which pretty much sums up and gives a wholesome experiences to the customers as well as to the people who are creating these experiences. And the whole discussion would be moving on in like basically on these lines. And since which is our conclave is pretty much centric towards tourism and hospitality, which is one of the major hit industries and which is one of the major industries which is dynamic and which can perform well at any possible situations, and it's now looking for new avenues where it can perform very well, and which is undergoing a lot of innovations as well. And to start with the discussion, I would like welcome Mr. Dr. Subhash Goel to start with us.
Well, thank you. I think very much for giving me the opportunity. First of all, I would like to extend my greetings to each and every one of you on the eve of our Republic Day, and also a big historical achievement that our Prime Minister has made by putting the statue of our leader Netaji Subhash Bose at India Gate. Well, coming back to the subject, you see, embarrassing change. Now, you know, change is one thing which is the only constant thing on this planet. And in the travel and tourism industry, we have experienced it. I mean, when I started my company in 73, we called it Student Travel Information Center. And then we evolved from that to Stick Travel Group. And then we evolved as a GSA company marketing, different, airlines. And then we further evolved and diversified into marketing non-air products like, cruises. Then we again further diversified into rent a car, and we've diversified into, various other non-air products. And you see, this industry has a lot of challenges. But I must tell the students that only those pieces have survived who have adapted themselves to change. The dinosaurus was the most powerful mammal on the planet. It could not adapt itself to change, so it got extinct. So if the travel agents and tour operators have to survive, they have to constantly keep innovating, reinventing themselves, and constantly, trying newer and newer things. So as far as we as Stick Travel is concerned, we went into charters, and during the pandemic, we did a lot of charters, and that is how we were able to survive. We did cargo charters, we did medical evacuation charters, and we really diversified into charters because that is what kept us going. So my advice to all the young students is that when you're doing an MBA, don't think by just doing an MBA in tourism, you're going to get jobs. When we look at people, when we hire people, and we look at MBAs, and we look at non-MBAs also, what we see is the spark in the person. You see how motivated they are, and do they have a fire or passion in what they want to do. So if you're not passionate about tourism, then I think you should not go ahead, because this is not going to be an easy, thing for you, because as the, every time there is some crisis or the other. In my small lifetime, I have seen so many crises. It was the Bangladesh war, the Indo-Pak war, then the, 9/11, and then, the 26/11. So we saw SARS, then we had the so-called, plague. So this industry has to face a lot of challenges. And if you are not prepared to face challenges, then I don't think you should join this industry. Secondly, how do we survive? Now, as I mentioned, you see, what is the future? The future is technology. And I don't want to go into the details of technology, because I see in the panel we have people who know much more about technology than I do, and I would probably leave it to them. But I would ask, because your professor said that she's very, open-minded. So I think in the curriculum, you need to have programs that maybe you already have them, is on digital marketing, on mobile applications, on how to use artificial intelligence in, answering your, or managing your CRM, and so on and so forth. I don't want to go into details of that. But yes, in olden days, when you know how to, just like you learn the 3 R's, reading, arithmetic, and writing, now if you're not, if you don't know how to, if you're not technology savvy, then I'm sorry, whether it's the tourism industry, whether it's the aviation industry, or it is any other industry, you cannot survive. So that is the most important thing. And secondly, what you will have to evolve, or what you will have to constantly think in your curriculum, is how can you deliver. Earlier we used to have people, runners who used to go and get the visas of the people. They used to go and physically deliver the tickets. Now we have electronic tickets. So still, the passports, people need to get their visas done, people need services. So an organization like VFS is there, like BLS is there. So a lot of organizations have come up and innovative changes have started taking place. So you have to be constantly aware of what are the needs, what are the goods and services that people need, and how can we tweet our organization to satisfy those needs of the consumers. Basically, whether you are in the tourism industry or in the hospitality industry, or you have to diversify into medical tourism. Today, India has become a big, the third largest, or the pharmacy of the world, they say, because we built up a base on giving affordable medicines to people. It was a socialist approach, but now that has become an opportunity for all of us. And in spite of the fact that in 2019, from inbound tourism, we earned $30 billion, 29 point some, about $30 billion in foreign exchange. And for the last 2 years, we have not earned a single penny because the visas were stopped, international scheduled flights have stopped. So there is a big situation there. So, but we don't have to give up, because a lot of, people who have focused on technology, whether it was Zomato, or it was, or its organizations like Ease My Trip, Make My Trip, or, so technology driven companies are still making a lot of money. So technology is the future. We in the STIC group are also trying to diversify as much as possible into technology. And I think that is the future. So my advice to the students would be then, the second thing which I want to advise the students is that you have to be proud of your country. You have to be proud of being Indians. You see, you cannot sell an organization, cannot sell your country or promote your country if you're not proud of it. So I want each and every student to be proud of your culture, your heritage. India is the greatest show on planet Earth. We are the birthplace of 4 great religions: Hinduism, Buddhism, Sikhism, Jainism. Today, if you see, Saudi Arabia, after oil, makes a lot of money from Hajj. So we can have a lot of religious tourism, pilgrimage tourism. That is one thing. Apart from adventure, we have 75% of the Himalayan mountains in our country. We have, all our 3 sides, we are covered with the oceans. We have some of the world's best beaches. We have, innumerable wildlife. We have everything. So if you are in a particular area, for example, if you are in Himachal, what are the things in Himachal which you can promote? And you will have to specialize. You see, just by doing an MBA, you can't think of, getting a job. So you will have to learn some additional qualifications, like maybe you can learn a foreign language, and which are the languages that are going to be in the future. Apart from Spanish and German, which and French, which everyone learns, you have to see the other languages like Russian, like Japanese, like Chinese, like Korean. Some of these languages, which have a lot of demand, and they will have a demand in the future. And whatever may happen, you have to be computer savvy, you have to be technology, because in future your mobile phone excuse me, your mobile phone is what you need in order to navigate, in order to sell, in order to buy, and everything. The business And during this lockdown, we have learned that WhatsApp groups, your other groups which are there, your other, is the best way of communicating. And whether it's a Telegram group or whatever, groups you have. So in the curriculum, I think the students will have to focus on that apart from bookish knowledge, because book is basic knowledge, which, like if you're in the travel, you need the IATA areas, the world is divided into the basic fares and all that stuff. But most important is you have to keep your eyes and ears open, right? What are the opportunities? And if you are, because opportunities don't come every day. If your eyes and ears are open, and if you see a service that you can provide where there is a gap, and with your knowledge or your experience or a group of friends, you can bridge that gap and in the process make some money. That is how you can be successful in this business. So be proud of being an Indian. We Indians are the best brains in the world today, whether it is, if you take the doctors and nurses from UK and USA, their health services can come to a standstill. So be confident of yours, be proud of your culture, and try to promote your country, your state, and your city. And I think there is a future, because global economy is going to be driven by three services. One is technology, whether it is information technology, biotechnology, nanotechnology. Second is telecommunications, which I said about your mobile phone. And third is travel and tourism, because it's a labor intensive industry. So this is what the economy will revolve around. So there is a lot of opportunity in doing MBA in tourism, but you have to constantly be innovative, keep your eyes and ears open, and there is a lot of money to be made in this industry. Even sky is not the limit. I mean, you can also think of, by the time you guys come to our age, you can think of space tourism also. So in these words, I think once again, I'd like to express my gratitude and sincere thanks for giving me this opportunity. And I think we started late, and I think by the time your professor finished, I think it was already half an hour was over. So I don't think we have much time. So if we are able to have some extra time after all the speakers, then I love to be open for question and answers. Thank you.
Sure, sure. And that was great and amazing set of points and like discussion topics which were brought by Dr. Subhash Goel. And to move on with like we can continue with Mr. Shashwat Sharma. Over to you, sir.
First of all, thank you so much, Mr. Subhash. Actually, it's an honor to share the stage along with you in such a esteemed panel. And thank you, everyone at IM to call me to be a part of this event. So to quickly, as sir also mentioned, and thank you so much for setting the context right. I think the kind of opportunities that sir was talking about, that's going to be immense in the travel sector. Although we all know that it was hit by a really bad phase recently, but yes, it has also come up with along with it a lot of learnings that we can see in the industry. And as the overall topic that you guys have chosen, I think this would not have been a more relevant time to actually discuss the topic of agility and the kind of transformations that this industry, and not only hospitality industry, all the industries as a whole had a lot of learnings. And since we were the worst hit and one of the worst hit industries, I think the learnings were also immense. So would take a lot of time, but would try to make you understand of some of the things that we actually learned at Tribo. So Tribo, as you guys must be aware of, we are actually and I am representing the startup side of the overall hospitality industry. We are not a very old brand. We are just a 6-year-old brand, and in that short span of time since we have been in hospitality industry, we have been able to get a footprint and at across 600 plus hotels across India in 80 plus cities. So that's the kind of growth that we have seen, and that's the kind of scale that we were actually working on. And one thing that I would like to mention, something which was different from the startups. What we were doing, we were actually trying to build a very sustainable business where we were not burning too much of investors' cash, and we were trying to become profitable as soon as possible. And in doing that, I would also like to tell you that in February 2020, which was the time just 1 month before the pandemic hit us, we were almost at a EBITDA positive scenario in the in our balance sheets, and we were almost at the level we were not burning any cash. From that level to another month of March 2020, the whole world changed for us. The pandemic hit. No one knew how the world is going to be after that. Everyone was taken aback. The country came to a standstill. There was no travel. A lot of companies, a lot of people at that time were actually distressed because of this thing. But I think only those were able to survive in this industry, or only those people were actually able to do well, who were able to transform themselves, who were able to take this as an opportunity rather than a diversity, rather than a disparity. So some of the things that we actually did, and so would like to tell you all those things. One of the things that was very important for us, which is one of the main inbuilt value system for Tribo, is the customer service. This is one very important criteria that we always look into. And we had actually, and for any business, we always try to, make a small segment of customers that we always say that, okay, this is the segment of customers that we will always try to cater to. We right from the beginning of it, we started catering to the budget segment of the customers. Budget segment, I would like to say that where the room tariffs start from somewhere around 1,500 to a 3,000 range. So that was the kind of segment, the segment that we were catering to. Here, the overall requirement for the customer was actually convenience and comfort at an affordable price. So that was the problem statement that we were actually solving at that point of time. Comfort and convenience at an affordable price. Now suddenly, once pandemic hit, and even if when some of the restrictions were opened up, there was some bit of travel which started, there were other kind of travels which were happening. We suddenly saw a very drastic change in the customer behavior. Now from convenience and comfort, it actually changed to safety and hygiene, which became a very, very important part of the customer requirements. So how did we transform during that? We actually were able to foresee this. So that is one very important part of our business, that we could actually, so if and it's always good at if you can foresee the future, how is it going to be for you. So what we actually did, we tied up with Dettol. That was a very, very smart thing to do during that time, and we created something called a Tribo Hygiene Shield. Tribo Hygiene Shield was something where we tied up with Dettol. We used all their products for sanitization of our properties. We used that as a sanitizer. Any customer which comes to our hotel will get that thing. Also, at the same time, along with using these products, we also displayed the same thing in the front office of the property, to give the customer that confidence that was really, really required at that time, where the customer had actually placed yeah, safety and hygiene much above anything else in the industry, in the list of his requirements. So we did that, and that worked really well for us. Customers actually started perceiving us as a very safe brand, and that is the reason we got a lot of traction from the corporates again. In fact, there were a lot of our corporate clients who are already our corporate clients. They used our properties as their where most of their employees were staying, and they were working from our properties. We also tried to gather all kinds of demand that were possible in the industry. We and that's that the overall sales team, who were just majorly catering to these corporates who were selling the business hotels of our properties, they suddenly saw that there was another level of demand which was coming from a very important initiative by the government of India, that was Vande Bharat, where a lot of people who were coming from outside India, they had to stay for a quarantine period for 14 days in different properties. We were able to actually get that kind of demand. So we tried to get all kinds of demand that was possible in the market to actually survive during that time. And being a startup, agility actually is in our DNA, and which is always and being that when you actually have that thing in your DNA, that transformation becomes very easy. So molding our leadership to the to even that the final FDM, the final front desk manager who's handling the final guest at the hotel, that transformation had to be very, very fast. So we actually tried to evolve very fast during that time, and we were able to actually sustain because of such kind of transformations. Uh, one more important point that I would like to tell you guys, and one very important theory that was which is around the leadership agility, which was in theory, which was shared by Bill Joyner. It's a very famous theory where at a leadership level, so at a leadership level, what happens is people become experts of their industry. They are stalwarts. They are experts of their they with a lot of knowledge, right? But during these times, during the agile times, when the nice leader or the evolution of the leader has to be from an expert level to a catalyst level. So rather than being just just an expert in the industry, someone has to become a catalyst during these times. So what do I mean by that? An expert would always say and always tell to his employees that, see, don't worry, I know everything. I know the problem. I know the solution. Just do whatever I am telling you, right? Now from this level to a level where you become a catalyst, you become a change agent for the overall evolution, where you as a leader say, okay, I don't know what the problem is, I don't know what the solution is, but I'm going to create a conducive environment so that you guys can come up with ideas, and I'm ready to take those ideas, and I will together in this journey, I'm together with you in this journey, and I will take you through these hard times. So that's a very important transformation that at the leadership level that we did at Tribo, where we, instead of being industry experts, we became catalysts to the people. And we actually then encouraged each and every of our employee to come up with different ideas to actually, so that we are able to sustain during these hard times. So this is something that really helped us. And this is one major learning that I would say that during the last 2 years, we were able to actually enjoy. And hopefully the industry turns out and what we are also seeing from the latest trends, the kind of variations in the business that happen. So as we know that during the as the restrictions were lifted, there was another term that was coined, that was a revenge travel that started coming up. So in a lot of properties which we had, and specifically in the budget segment, what happens is the owner who's the person who's handling the property does not and for obvious reasons, he cannot sustain with a lot many staff at his property. So we had a very sharp crunch of staff during that time, and suddenly there was a big blast in the kind of demand that we could see in the specifically in the tourist destinations. So that was again that is a level of transformation, the kind of agility you need to have in the overall way in you handle the business. And that was a time again where we actually transformed our sales team to take care of the guests. So at these times, you cannot actually just look into one part of or one aspect of the business. So even if as employees, as leaders, you have to see the overall or the all around dimensions to the business that we have, and you have to perform in all those kind of dimensions. So that's a very, very important learning that we had during these hard times. And Tribo was able to sustain, and in fact become even stronger after what pandemic showed us. And hopefully, since I know I'm a little short of time now, I would just like to conclude that these times have actually taught us to how to be more resilient in the overall business. And we have actually come much mature as a company, as an individual, as everyone in the company has been more mature after these changes. And changes, as Mr. Subhash also said, change is the only constant thing which is there in this world. So you guys should also be very, very up for it. You should always be very very vocal about these changes which happen in the industry and be ready for such things. So yeah, that's some of the learnings that I shared with you, and would like to take some questions after if we have some time, and I would like to give more time to the other speakers.
Thank you so much, Mr. Sashwat. And now we can see like a graph going on, like a fluctuating graph going on in the discussion. Like first starting with Dr. Subhash, who is pretty much the most experienced person, and then the young Mr. Shashwat sir, like sharing his experience, who has achieved a major feat in his life within a very short period of time. And then I would like to move on with the person who has been very patient towards the process and getting himself onboarded for this event. I would like to move on the discussion with Mr. Vikram Sharma, sir. Over to you, sir.
Namaste, everybody. I must appreciate Mr. Goel and Shashwat. Some great insights from your side of the business, from primarily the sector, from the travel, as well as from a startup point of view. So yes, I certainly endorse a lot that both the speakers have mentioned a while back. Change is the only constant. That's so true, and that's what I had also written down on my notes. So yes, pre-pandemic and post-pandemic, this is for sure the customer behavior has changed, if I may put it that way. And Shashwat rightly mentioned, from the comfort, it's actually moved to hygiene and sanitization. And so that's the importance that today's customer is giving to hygiene and sanitization. And we also saw a mix of the travelers has changed for us as hotels. When I talk about this, I'm primarily talking about travel reduced, corporate travel reduced, and we saw a straight increase into the leisure traveler. What it meant was, be at a hotel level, how do we cater to a corporate client would differ how do we cater to a leisure client. Corporate client would just...
Excuse me, sir. Sorry to interrupt you. If possible, can you switch on the camera?
It's on.
Okay. Okay, sir.
Okay. So yes, am I visible now? I mean, I was always visible. Is it fine now? Hello.
You were visible earlier, but not now.
Oh.
You were visible earlier.
Okay. Let me just. Does that make it better?
Sorry, I can't see you.
Maybe the technology plays its own part. That's when it happens.
Now I can see you.
Yeah, now we have
yes. So great. So how do you cater to a leisure client would certainly differ. How do you cater to a corporate traveler? Corporate travel would require a quick breakfast and move to his next office space. However, leisure would have some time over the weekend. So we saw great change in the mix of travelers that we had at our hotels. The consumption pattern changed from an F&B point of view. We straight away saw that the in-room dining across all our hotels, actually, the hotels that I worked in, increased compared to people coming down to the lobby and having a buffet breakfast or a buffet dinner. We saw a hell lot of orders coming into from the room service point of view. With this, the expectations have changed certainly, and which only resulted that the workplace adapts to the changed customer needs. Now, the workplace for a hotel or for our industry is primarily a hotel or an airline or an airport for that matter, and which actually called for change in the mindset first from an employee standpoint, and second, change in processes, the way we did business, the way we delivered food onto the table, the way we did a check-in, the way we opened the door at the reception, at the lobby level when the guest would arrive in a cab. Those processes had to change. Now, I'm not going. What I would refrain from doing is talking about how do we went about this change. I would primarily talk about what was behind that enabled us to make that change. That's the word where the core value of Marriott came into the picture, That's embrace change. Embrace change itself becomes a core value for the company. So yes, we started with one thing when we got as a team. Pandemic, I had an experience of 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, or 25 years, or if there was a fresher onto my team who's just raw, we all were facing pandemic for the first time. Let's accept that fact. So actually, say by mid-March 2020, as Sashwat pointed out the time, none of us, including the most experienced to the first kid on the block, knew what's happening in April. That is so true. So we came to that mindset that the ideas how to deal with this can come from anywhere. It cannot be a top-to-down approach, because had it been a top-to-down approach, we would only talk with our experiences, and we never had an experience of a pandemic. That's one. Second, so it was very important to reinvent ourselves on a daily basis, because the situation was evolving practically every day, if not weekly or a monthly. So it was not a 6 months plan. It was a short-term plan for a week that became a plan for 15 days, and that eventually became a plan for the month of April, and then the quarter, and then yes, 2021 was in 2021 we all had some experience of what we faced in 2020. So now what it does is, I would also touch base upon the human part of it. How do we embrace change, and what do we expect from an employee now as a workplace? Because ultimately we need to meet our customer requirements, because when they have changed, we need to change for sure. So I'll primarily touch base upon first from an employee standpoint. First is the mindset change that needs to happen. That what we were doing until now was good until now. For the future, as things change, the solution would change. And I think so that would only happen if at the workplace, I think so, there's a culture of experiment. There is no harm in experimenting something new, and which may sound a bit off the line, but yes, there has to be a culture of experiment. Pandemic also taught us that there has to be a culture of resilience in our workplace, because without that, we will not be able to sustain with a core team. A culture of flexibility, wherein if a particular if a particular problem is attached or attracts a particular solution, probably now it has to be tweaked a bit to meet the complete demand. I think so it has to be a collaborative environment, and this all can only come if we have a lot of diversity and inclusion at a workplace. When I talk about diversity and inclusion at a workplace, I'm primarily talking not only about a female gender ratio. I'm not talking about a gender ratio, which is great to have a gender ratio. I'm also trying to hint on the diversity of the ideas that come onto the table. From all walks of life and from all employees, those are there in the room sitting at that point in time to address this problem. So diversity in values and diversity in the solutions that come onto the table are a key matrix when it comes to developing a mindset culture of change. Then yes, then environment of critical thinking plays a very important role. It's very important to challenge ourselves with the processes that we have developed. Like Mr. Goel said, they challenged their core business and diversified into multiple segments over a period of time, as and when the industry demanded or the environment demanded. So yes, critical thinking to check on all our process is required on a regular basis. That's what I would want to contribute from a culture standpoint, from a workplace point of view. What is certainly going to change is the way we do business and the impact of technology that's going to come at a workplace, it's already there. I think so. It's only going to increase from an employee standpoint of view. The way we do talent acquisition, the way we map our performance management to our employees, the way we map succession planning of our employees. I think so. Technology is going to play a significant role when it comes to planning our workforce, and that's where the young minds come into play. There will be new products which will come in, which would be highly driven with smart solutions driven by technology. And for the kids, I think so. While you are yet to join this industry, I think so. The core business of our industry would remain intact, wherein technology would not be able to completely compensate on that element, because we eventually have a people connect. We are a people connect industry, so it's not going to completely replace it, but yes, it is going to support a lot. Case in point, how technology will affect our industry is the data is the new fuel, I must say. So, and I'm sure Tribu would be, Shatwat would endorse it. The history of a client or the preferences of his client would be the next oil that the hospitality industry will cater on. From a from to generate his history, to keep records, and to analyze what a customer will expect upon his next visit to a hotel. That's where the technology will play a significant role, and provide us with smarter solutions. When I talk about smarter solutions, before the guest comes in, I actually know what he wants. What it will only do is it will help us prepare better from a workforce point of view, from a process point of view, from a logistic point of view, and from so it will just help us plan better to serve that guest better, I feel. So that's where it's going to change. Technology will play a significant part there. However, the core would remain the same of people connect. I'm very optimistic with the industry in the coming days. We have seen this after the first pandemic. It has come back. In fact, Q4, Q3, and the Q4 of the last year, I think so. None of us expected that fast return, and I'm sure this particular variant of this particular virus is here to stay. However, I also see travel coming back very soon, and in much bigger numbers. And having said that, while we are doing a virtual conference, I'm sure we all agree, had we been at the campus, it would have been a different experience for all of us. When I say all of us, I do include students, I do include the faculty, and I also do include us. And somewhere down the line, that personal connect is something I think so technology will not be able to replace, at least in the near future, if not later. So yes, from that standpoint, I am very optimistic, for the industry. Mr. Goel rightly said that if you have the passion, that's when you join it. As simple as that. No mincing words around it. If you have it, join it, be it, enjoy it, and love it. That's how my life has been over the last 18, 20 years with this industry. So yes, I hope and I believe that I've contributed a bit of my thoughts to the table. Yeah. So yes, over to you, Srinivas, on this point.
Thank you so much, Mr. Vikram. So as I already mentioned, like the first with the experience and then with the young talent, and now a person who is keeping everything in balance and is acting as the equalizer of the whole panel. And then we would like to move on with, say, the person who has been known for his, say, silence and punctuality all the time till now. Over to you, sir, Mr. Prashant Singh.
Thank you so much. Most of the points related to ongoing market situations have been covered by Dr. Goel sir, Shashwat, and Vikram already. Well, I'd like to focus on the unpacking the change and the agility leadership. Nowadays, keeping in mind the audience I have on the group right now, I'll say a few things. If you get a chance and you want to contribute to the industry, choose if you want a job or a career. Nowadays, we don't want to make a career. We want to go for a job which can give us a short-handed good amount of money. And then you keep becoming a job hopper. You change 5 jobs in 5 years, and on the 6th year, when you have a situation to handle, you have no idea what to do. Because you're trying to get year on year, leaving a job, getting another company to get a hike, then again another company. And then someday you end up realizing, I have 5 jobs, but a zero career prospect in my life. You cannot be an agile leader. A lot of the leaders on the panel have given their blood and sweat in the industry they belong to. And right now, that's why they're called as expert, is because they carry knowledge and they've given it to the generations yet to come. Another thing to be an agile leader is a loyalty. If you feel you can be loyal, not to a job, to a company, but to an industry. I have seen so many people during hospitality turbulence due to COVID that this industry is not good. Let's leave it. Let's go somewhere. Let's do something. You don't do that. Let's compare it to industry, to your own family. Your family goes through a trouble. You don't leave your family. You stay there. You become loyal. You fight it. Everybody in this panel right now has contributed in some form to at least survive and revive from this pandemic. That can only happen if you have the true inherent quality of loyalty in yourself. And again, I'm saying not for the company first, not for anybody else, but for the industry you're planning to join. Else, you'll be running after the money and you'll be a robot, nothing else. Discipline and passion, very rightly said by Dr. Goel already. If you do not have passion, not come in, because feel that yes, I feel like doing yes satisfaction, if I feel like contributing into the revenue management practices, if I feel interest in getting business to the hotel, then do not contribute, do not come in, because then you will be occupying position of a person who is more deserving than you, but you stopped it by joining it just for the sake of, because let's go hit and trial. Don't do hit and trial. Somewhere in our gut we know that what we're passionate for, and if you want to be an agile in all scenarios, you have passion in you. The panel discussion, if you do a sum up, you will realize that everybody's solo goal is to be successful in life. And you can be successful in life by making focus on a career, not a job. If you plan to be something in life, do not have a short-term goal only, have a long-term goal. This is where I see myself in my industry in 5 years of time. This is where I see my management training department. When I completed my management training, people were like that, you've completed a management training, now you should switch, you should go somewhere else, you should be meeting for your assistant manager position and for your graduation for a management training. That was not my perspective. I stayed with the core for a good 3 years. And then I moved on for revenue management growth. Also, to be an agile leader and to understand industry better, especially during pandemic, we need to understand every time everything in your life may not go as you plan. And that is the best thing this pandemic has taught. Me coming from a revenue management and e-commerce background, I understand that I used to have all my forecast tools and I used to predict that this day we're going to do this much money, this month which we're going to do this money. Every report, every data came crashing on my face when I realized that there is now historical data obsolete for me, because when I see the future is uncertain. And how you face an uncertain future? By loyalty to your industry and your company, by passion which you have because you do not run away from the trouble which you have on the table, by being disciplined to understand that industry needs my support in whatever form possible. I will be there and to contribute in whatever form possible. And I do not plan to have success by accident. I want to plan my success. And for each one of you student online right now, what matters as a panel speaker, I will suggest you, a lot of people do the mistake that they find few challenges and they move. You don't do that. How far will you do that? Every year you will keep doing that and one day you'll realize the time is up. I could run away from the challenges, but the same challenges will keep around me. Because the problem was not that challenge, the problem was you, your ability to solve that challenge. And hence you could not be an agile leader. You could not be an agile leader. You could not be a confident leader. You were not very confident in your approach because you knew somewhere in your head that whenever I get a challenge, whether from a boss, whether from a company, whether from an industry, whether from an ongoing pandemic, any small little thing, I'll move, I'll run away. That's not how it works now. In order to be an agile leader, in order to be successful, you need to understand this pandemic has taught that everything is uncertain, and people who will stay and sustain are the person who are actually bank of knowledge and who have a lot of immense knowledge about the area they belong to. Be it front office, be it F&B, be it food production, be it travel agencies, be it online travel agents, be it revenue management experts, be it director of sales, be it director of marketing. If you're an expert of your area, you will be an agile leader. And you can be an agile leader by being loyal to the industry you belong to, by having passion, discipline. These are the soft skills, because technical skills, to be honest, can be taught you in a month time, 2 month time. No PMS is hard enough to understand. No CRM is difficult to understand. No channel manager, no software is difficult enough for you to understand in a month or a 2 month time. What is difficult to understand is the soft skills which you carry in you as a professional. That we cannot change entirely. We can motivate you to work on that. But if you do not have within you, you will be occupying a position of a person who more deserves than you. I mean, that's how I would like to contribute. Rest all the points relevant to the ongoing pandemic and contribution to the tourism and hospitality sector were already contributed by Dr. Goel sir, Shashwat, and Vikram. I want to repeat them. But we need to know sometimes the problem is in our approach. How we look forward to it is what is going to make us and the industry and our company we belong to. Thank you so much, Srinivasan, to you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Prashant. And last but not the least, the person who has been like so calm and like who has acted also to be the coolest one among the panel. Over to you, sir, Mr. Rajesh.
Thank you, Srinivasan. I think thanks to Dr. Goel, Shashwat, Vikram, and Prashant for sharing their ideas, and they covered big amount of it. So what I'm going to do is basically I'm going to be restating some of those things maybe in a different way and summarizing what they have said. And thanks to IIM Sarmar for having me here. And okay, so you know the topic says embracing change and unpacking leadership agility. So first thing, the agility does not come from reactions. It comes from the responses. So example shared by Dr. Swash Goel was they innovated. You know, they went into charters. There were a lot of travel agents outside who did not know what to do with their businesses. Okay, he gave an example of medical tourism. There were students traveling. There were a lot of other things happening. There were tourist people who had money. They could even hire planes to go down to make short trips because they had existing visas when the air bubble started. So that was one of the innovations which was done, and that is the agility which his agency, his company showed. So he responded, his company responded, not reacted to the situation by saying, oh, we need this cut and we need a GST cut. All those things are important, but on ground, you have to sustain yourself. And I'll come up with 3 points which we did at our company, and I would say our leadership team at DreamFolks was very strong about it. First thing we did is how to handle your workforce in case of adversity, which happened in 2020, March 24th onwards. Okay, so what we did is airports shut down, and our business is airport lounges. If airports shut down, the lounges are not operating. So what do we do with salespeople? What do we do with operations people? Okay, so we decided we'll find a core team and let's revamp our supply chain. Our supply chain was lounges. There were some places, offices were still functional across the globe. We had an international partner. We decided to go on our own because we always knew our margins are going to be better if we contract lounges on our own rather than use an international partner. So we formed a core team. Thanks to the leadership team, 10 people were assigned from various departments, from operations, even secretaries were working, even EAs were working in that team. So we used that time. So we reorganized our workforce. That's the agility of leadership, what we did. Okay. And that gave us an opportunity to contract around 850 lounges across the globe, sitting in an office or at home in last 18 to 20 months. Whereas our competitors have offices spread across the globe. They spend multi-million dollars pays salaries and everything, and infrastructure and everything. We were able to do these things from one place. That's the agility of leadership which we are talking about. The second thing which you do is you need to see what is your offering. How can you improve your touch points which your customers touch? What is more what you can offer? Okay, it was just brainstorming sessions and looking at what you can add to your, what revenues you can bring in more. Okay, we are an airport services company. Well, will only doing lounges, airport transfers, meet and assist survive? Why can't we get into airport retail? Why can't we do something else extra? We looked at those opportunities. That was a leadership agility which we had in our company. We took care of our workforce. We took care of our supply chain. And the third thing which is important is, which a lot of companies thought was waste of money, or they were not ready to spend money that time because there were no revenues coming in, is the customer experience. Okay, we enhanced our technology platforms. We worked that we should be able to manage much more bigger clients and much more number of transactions. So we enhanced our capability. If a customer coming on board would take 45 to 60 days to bring on board, we, our technology team worked over through that period and created plug and play systems where we could onboard a client in 7 days or maybe sometimes less. So those are the kind of changes which we worked on. And this is exactly what happens when you improve your customer experiences. You're going to gain loyalty, you're going to build resilience in the system, and you are future proofing your business. So those are the kind of agility things which we brought into our system. And that is why we, despite being into hospitality, we call ourselves a technology company. Second thing, we talked about a lot of data. So a lot of data is always flowing around in companies, but how do you use it? That's also another thing which we found out. What are the people's choices? We looked at the data. Where are the places people go? So do we need to enhance our product horizontally, means have every product, or do we need to cater to all kind of clients? There may be different levels of opportunities there. Let's say in an airport transfers, do you want an ordinary Desire car there, or do you need a Mercedes? So there were different clienteles. We were able to do our research based on the data, what kind of usage was happening, and enhance our product lines also. So change is constant. We embraced the change which was forced upon to us, and we used that opportunity to create value for the company. And that is how we worked, and that is how we are continuing to work together. And so there was a leadership which took charge of the situation. There were no job cuts in our company. We reallocated the resources which were available to us and used them to the best of our capabilities, and we have built a better future for our company. That is how leadership resilience work, and that is one of the biggest takeaways which we gained from this pandemic gap. We need to respond to the situation rather than do a reactive knee-jerk reactions, which we saw from a lot of people around the world. So having said that, I think we are already 4 minutes over time. I would like to say thank you again for having me here, and I kept it short because most of the points were already covered by my erstwhile colleagues in the industry.
Thank you so much, Mr. Rajesh. And if all the panelists are up for a little bit of more discussion, or they want to know if they are really willing to have a discussion on one of the topics which we have already been shared with you, we can go ahead with it if I have everybody's permission.
No, I think let it be open for question answers.
Sure. In that case, yes, sir. Sure. I hand it over to Sri Krishna. Please go ahead.
Thank you, Srinivasa. Now, I request any students who have any doubts to raise up the hands so that you can ask the questions and the panelists can answer them. Okay, so before anyone asks, I want to actually ask a question. Mr. Rajesh Rakeja, you said that if we want to concentrate more on horizontal or including new verticals in that. So what should be the more idealistic approach in this time of a crisis? Is it whether?
Sure. So this experience comes from my work with Expedia. So when you are expanding, and the hoteliers will understand that also, when you're trying to build inventory, okay, and let's say you want to take Rajasthan, do you want to cover every city in Rajasthan first, or you want to cover 50 hotels in Jaipur first? Okay. For your customer experience, you do not want a customer to come on your website and do not find a city which is mentioned there. So horizontal, it depends on your strategy. For me, horizontal coverage is more important, that I would like to offer every possible city which is available in Rajasthan on my website, okay, to my customers first, and then go in for, maybe even if I'm getting a 3-star hotel, I'll take it up. Whether I get a 4-star, I'll take it up before I go in for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, all kind of hotels in my inventory. This is what I learned at my experience at Expedia and Yatra, where I was managing corporate hotel sales there. So that's exactly how it is. It depends. It is always important to have a wider coverage first before you go for a vertical coverage. That's the way that's my personal viewpoint. There are other experts on the panel. They may have a different viewpoint, but I think horizontal coverage is better, because you would not like to let go of a client disappointed. That's customer experience for me.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
No, I think we agree with him completely.
If anybody has a question, you can feel free to unmute yourself and ask also.
So, am I audible?
Yes, yes.
So, respected panelists, I have this one question that post-pandemic, the tourism industry has adopted few changes, like they have adapted new ways to counter it. So, when the pandemic is over, what do you think that these changes will remain there, or the industry will come back to its normal?
No, I think the changes are always for the better, because I think technology, we have all adapted to technology like Zoom meetings and other things. They will remain. Similarly, the hygiene and health protocols which have been adopted would remain, because this pandemic is not going to switch off. It'll wither off slowly, and we have to keep maintaining the health and safety protocols. So I think we'll have to learn to live with this pandemic, and we have to keep innovating and keep changing, as rightly mentioned. I mean, now the next stage is, but we have realized that there's domestic tourism, so we have taken GSA for IRCTC and the luxury trains and luxury river cruises. So you have to keep evolving. Any organization, if you keep, and whatever changes have taken place will remain. I mean, they're not going to go. I mean, that's my take on it. Maybe someone disagrees.
Absolutely, Dr. Goel, because what you have done is future-proofed your business. So with the changes which have come, you have future-proofed your business by seeing that these are the possibilities which will exist, and we need to cater to those.
That's it.
Yeah. One more point I wanted to make, Srinivasan, was Professor Neelu Rometra had asked, how can we give a better experience today? What she was mentioning is Marriott in the US has been, we have a panelist from Marriott, he would confirm that they have a system where in the rooms, when people are traveling, they're providing them an AR and VR tools. Right? VR tools, AR, you can do it on your phone also, where if you cannot go out because there are restrictions, they are giving you the local experiences on VR and AR. So that technology has already come in, yet to come into India completely. But I think that future would be there. And that was the last thing she asked. So on a VR instruments and AR mobiles and everything, you can actually get 3D visuals and everything else, where you can actually experience being in a marketplace or something like that. Those things are already available in the market, and I think they should be available in the Indian industry soon also.
Let me add here, that is a part of the innovation to a product. And yes, more than industry, let me give you a work post this conference. Google the top 30 brands in the world, and you will find the word innovation in their tagline. So yes, innovation is here to stay in any product across any of our industries. Be it telecom, be it the FMCG sector, be it technology from a computer standpoint, the word innovation will be a part of the strategic move that a company goes ahead with. So yes, that is there to stay. Absolutely. So the other point we talked about, do we go back to the pre-pandemic levels? To add to what Mr. Goel said, I think so. The industry is a labor-intensive industry. However, what pandemic has taught us is about having, measuring productivity in a different way. So I think so. Measuring productivity is here to stay. I don't think so. Moving forward, we would change from measuring productivity from a punch in to a punch out time to what the person brings onto the table. That is something which is going to remain, and that again will be driven by technology, I feel. So yes, workforce management is something which would be a very interesting space to look out in the next 5 to 10 years of time. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. We also talked about passion for workforce. So there's an anecdotal story with a friend of mine who's a pilot. He is a commander now and he flies bigger aircraft. So one of the new pilots, a co-pilot he asked him a question. Do you come here to fly or is it a job for you? That guy says it's a job. And he says, you'll never be successful. You will never be happy in this job. Unless as a pilot, you want to come there, get up every morning and fly planes. That's your passion. If you do it as a job, one day you would want not to get up in the morning and take a day off. So that kills your passion. So you need to have that kind of passion when you do things.
There is a Chinese proverb that if you should not open a shop if you cannot smile and you don't have a passion about the business you're doing, whatever you're selling or buying or whatever it is. So passion with a smile is very, very important. And one more lesson which we as an organization have learned is, we used to have our annual, sales conferences and meetings every, north, south, east, west, major branches used to have separately. The last 2 years, we've had virtual, celebrations. We've hired the same event managers who used to do it. And I think the team that has been built up during this crisis, it's a blessing that we are today more cohesive, more, and even during the second wave, we had a group of, volunteers who knew the hospital doctors, who had, all the medicines, the oxygen equipments. And I think a lot of, members worked as a team for each other. And we as an organization did not also terminate a single staff, right? We did negotiate some voluntary pay cuts, or some people took voluntary sabbaticals. We did negotiate, this rental concessions from the landlords. But we also got a lot of ideas from the team, and we worked as a family. And I think after the pandemic, we are a more closely held unit than we were before the pandemic, because whenever there is a crisis, I think there is more unity in the organization. जैसे जब लड़ाई होती है तो पूरे इंडिया एक यूनाइटेड फोर्स बन जाती है whenever there is aggression from outside. So I think everything is a blessing in disguise, because we believe that every dark cloud has a silver lining. And there are a lot of ideas which have come in from our organization, and there are some few more innovative things that we'll do in the days to come. So innovation, I agree, is the name of the game, and we need to, keep reinventing the organization, reinventing ourselves. And, it's all a game of, seeing what the needs of the people are and how your organization can satisfy those needs. Simple as that.
I hope it gives an elaborate view about it, like whatever Abdul was trying to ask. Thank you so much, panelists. Yes, Krishna, you can go ahead.
Thank you so much, sir. Now I request Rajkumar Ravi to come forward with his question.
Yeah, thank you, Sri Krishna. I really enjoyed this session, listening to all the guests, and I was able to learn a lot of new things too. We hope that there are more such sessions in the future. So my question is to Dr. Subhash Goel, sir. And sir was mentioning about that we should love our place, and then only we can promote it. So, sir, in your long career and as president of the like the past president of IOTA, and so like I come from the Northeast, sir. So I want to do something in that place. So we have got all this flora and fauna, sir, like all of the natural resources that we have, but we are not able, sir, to realize our potential. So from your experience, like what are challenges and opportunities do you think, sir, there are that are there in the northeastern part of the country, sir?
See, no other group of states, I would say, offers so much opportunity as the Northeast. You can look at things, in a very positive manner. Either you can see that the half glass is empty or half full. I'll give an example of a salesman who was sent to Africa to sell shoes. This is about 50 years back or 60 years back. And he came back and he said, there is no market and no one is wearing shoes. Then the other salesman was sent and he went there and he sent a message that please send 3 shiploads of, shoes because there is a huge market, no one is selling shoes. So Northeast states, I have been advisor to the Chief Minister and the government of Meghalaya on tourism. And I realized, and that is the first time I went to Meghalaya, and I realized that it's one of the most beautiful states in our country. I mean, it has so much potential. So I immediately asked Air India to start, flights. And I was instrumental in getting the flights from Calcutta to, Meghalaya. And then we realized that bigger planes couldn't come because the runway was not that big and everyone had to come to Guwahati. The road was very bad between Guwahati and Meghalaya. So I approached the airport authority and we were able to get that road extended. So, in Northeast, there is so much, opportunity for bed and breakfast. You see, today Airbnb is one of the, the biggest chain in the world. And you can easily, all that a foreign tourist needs is a clean bedsheet, a clean toilet, and a clean environment. Once you are able to provide that, even with 2-3 bedrooms at your place where you're working, where you're staying, you see, you can have a supplementary income by Airbnb. And second is technology. Even sitting in the remotest areas, you can, do sales. You can sell anything today. I mean, on the net, if you're making something, you can go on Amazon, you can go on Flipkart, you can go, or you can even make your own website and you can promote anything. Today, there are specialized today now. Some of the operators have started doing, this river cruises. They started small and now they have gone big in the Northeast on the, Brahmaputra. And you can develop a lot of innovative, tours. And now domestic tourism is coming up in a big way. And even from one state to another, see, basically, whatever business, it's a very simple thing. What is the need? What is the demand? And how you can modify your goods or services to satisfy that demand. Once you have that in your mind, then your mind is always looking at opportunity. Once you have that, looking at opportunity, you see, is the most important thing. And this, you have to make your mind tuned to be an entrepreneur. You see, you cannot, you can learn some basics in MBA or in any, but ultimately, it is your drive, your passion to succeed, and keeping your eyes and ears open. That is the most important thing. Keeping your eyes and ears open for ideas.
To add further to what Dr. Goel was saying, Meghalaya is one of the most important places if you into caving. This is one of the best places to go
World's
caving.
largest, yeah.
Yeah, and whereas in Europe and South America are supposed to be the best places to go caving, but Meghalaya is totally unexplored. That's one area which is just fantastic. Why I'm raising this point also is I think, to get into IIM, you guys have slogged with your maths and English, but if you are doing a tourism course, travel and tourism course, you need to get your geography and places of interest right. So I find that when I'm interviewing people, geography and places of interest is almost negligible when they come for sales interviews. Okay, so if you are doing this course, you must know your geography, you must know your places of interest within your country and outside the country also. So that's very important.
That I agree with you totally, because our HR people, one of the tests they take is a geography test about the country and the world. And you may be very highly qualified if you don't know about the country in which you are born or the planet in which you are born, you're not fit for this industry.
Thank you so much, sir, for clearing the doubt. Now, Sukrit, can you go ahead with your question?
Yes, thank you, Shri Krishna. So, sir, my question is, as we all know that government is a very important stakeholder in tourism industry, and we have they have launched a lot of schemes like Swadesh Darshan and a lot of tourism circuits as well. But there is a general notion that it's very difficult to work with governments. So, sir, my question was, how can we leverage these schemes to create business opportunities for us? Anyone of the panelists can answer.
See, as far as the government is concerned, no government, whether it's in India or anywhere else in the world, is going to help you in your organization or anything. They only will provide some infrastructure which is needed, like roads, like this, or they'll help in marketing, like they show Dekho Apna Desh, and our suggestion to it's a very good program they did now to translate it into various international languages, so that it can be seen all over the world. But what you have to do is you have to see the information that is available today. Everything is available on the net, and how you can use that information to build your business, because that is the most important thing. So you cannot, now, for example, there are some governments who have helped the travel and tourism industry, but we have not got any financial relief from the government at all. So we have to depend on our own selves. We have to constantly be, innovative. We have to keep our costs down. And my advice to other people will be that don't just depend on one source of income. You must have a secondary source of income, because you never know what the situation is going to be. So you don't keep all your eggs in one basket. And it's survival of the fittest on this planet. You see, you have to constantly keep swimming. And business is like cycling. The moment you stop, you fall. So you have to keep paddling and keep up coming with, and this crisis is the worst crisis we have ever faced. And if we have survived this crisis, we can survive anything. So I think let us be positive.
Thank you, sir.
Priyanka, can you go ahead with your doubt? Priyanka, Soni.
Tell them to
Okay.
unmute.
Yeah. Sorry. Am I audible?
Yeah. You are audible.
So thank you so much, all the panelists, sir, for sharing your wonderful experience about the industry and for giving us such insightful session. So my doubt is general basic doubt that as we all know that baby boomers, Gen Z and millennials, these all three generations have a different expectations from the industry. We can see that they are expecting different things out of tourism and out of even hotel industry. So like as industry experts, how do you think that we are catering these different expectations and how we are seeking out for a balance among them?
Can I, or anyone else wants to? Because I don't want to be fielding all the questions. But, you know, uh, this is an age of specialization. You see, you can't cater to everyone. You see, you'll have to find what your niche is. Today, we have an MBBS doctor who does everything. All information is available on the net. What medicines are available, what treatment is available, still one goes to a doctor. But in doctors also, you have to be a specialist. Those are the people who make more money, right? Whether you're a cardiologist or whether you're oncologist or you're a child specialist or you are an orthopedic. You see, so you have to find out what your specialization is. There are tour operators who do only adventure tourism and they're making a lot of money, right? They are experts in their field. They know more about mountaineering. This, if I have someone in inbound tourism, I will go to one of the adventure tour operators and ask him to do it. Similarly, there are tour operators who specialize in MICE, meetings, incentives, conferences, wedding planners are there. So one goes to them. Then there are people who specialize on, like river rafting, or I mean, it's a part of adventure, but there are people who specialize in architecture tours. There is a person whom I met, and he also got an award from the tourism ministry. He was doing, rickshaw tours in Old Delhi, and he was making a lot of money. So, you have to find out, what can fascinate, whether it's a domestic tourist or an international tourist, and you have to specialize in it. You should be the expert on that. No one else should be able to do better than you. So you have to now, similarly, you have to keep, looking for, now baby boomers are there. There are, uh, there is one girl who started and I helped her initially, who's doing only tours for the handicapped, the blind, and she's taking those people. I mean, she's innovative. Then there are people who are specializing in honeymoon couples, or, and who specialize in honeymoon tours. So you do that. So there is a lot of opportunity, but whatever you do now, you cannot do without the help of technology. You see, you will have to have a very good website. You will have to have a nice payment gateway, and you should know how to promote that website on Google and other, So that is why I mentioned in the beginning that all this MBA program, which anyone does on tourism, it cannot be successful without teaching artificial intelligence, digital marketing. For example, I mean, I'm talking about 30 years back. I was checking in because we used to have one Spanish airline flight coming into, Mumbai in Bombay. And I used to go there every, 3 days I was in Bombay, I was staying so much. Every time I checked in into Oberoi Towers, they used to say, sir, we have a non-smoking lower floor available for you. So that is artificial intelligence. They were doing it 30 years back, 40 years back. So then one day they said, sir, we have upgraded you to a presidential suite because this is your 100th visit. I didn't remember. So how to manage your customers, how to manage their, needs, their requirements, their wants, you cannot do it without technology. So whatever you want to do in life, whether you want to specialize with, you have to find out, and trends and fashions keep changing. and you have to change. All these big brands which you see, they keep changing themselves according to the fashion. So you have to keep yourself, I mean, I cannot give you a fixed formula that you have to do this because maybe some people in the Northeast have different requirements. People from Kerala will have different requirements. So you have to know your customers. You have to keep finding out. You have to have some feedback form or whatever it is, whatever method you do it. If you don't have artificial intelligence, you have a feedback form. I remember in good old days, I used to have a suggestion box. I used to have an office in Imperial hotel where I had a suggestion box. People used to give their suggestions, and that is how you improve. So you have to keep, finding out what your customer needs. That's what it is all about.
I request Vikram sir, Prashant sir, and Shashwat sir also to give their inputs on this question.
Yeah, I would definitely agree. So, see, the best way of.
Go ahead. Go ahead, Shashwat. Go ahead.
If I may take it, sorry.
No, it's okay. Go ahead.
Yeah, so I felt that this is something again that we as a company did, and most of the startups actually do that. They figure out one problem statement and they try to solve that, and they give all their their blood and sweat in solving that particular problem. So you cannot do a lot many things at a single point of time, but you have to, again, as Mr. Subhash mentioned, that you have to find that particular niche in which the segment that you need to operate in. Like for example, we did at Tribo that we figured out in 2015-16 that this budget a budget segment of hotels is something which is not which is very underserved. There were no brands in the market at that time which could standardize the overall offering. So that is the segment where our founders actually picked that up and tried to solve that problem and did really well. I'm not saying we are the only brand now which is doing solving that problem, but yes, the customer experience problem is some in this particular segment is something which we are actually able to solve really well. So I think that is one of the ways in which the problem solving can be looked at.
Hi, just to add what Shashwat and Dr. Goel sir has already said. Question starting fresh into the industry, there is one very basic expectation is of undivided attention. You want to multitask. I want to do MBA also. I want to do a job also. Then with one job, I want to do a part-time job also. Don't do that. You will not be able to give your 100% anywhere. Then you will turn out to be average in every area. You do that post crossing your 25, 26, or in your 21 and 22, you want to do that. Then you have to be 100% confident that no. Then you're gonna make the organization and the department and your manager also suffer, and you yourself also will be an underconfident person. Why am I not able to do it? Why am I not able to do it? You are not able to do it because the basic expectation of undivided attention and is missing. So undivided attention. You go in a department, focus there. 6 months, 1 year, then start exploring other areas, other departments, everything else, because at least you have become master of one area. Otherwise, no, I want to do this also. I wanted to do that. It doesn't work like that. Millennials have a habit. Instagram, Snapchat, WhatsApp, Facebook has been on. It's in our blood now. You switch from Facebook, you go to Instagram. You switch from Instagram, you go to Snapchat. Those apps have taught us to be somewhere in some form available. Don't be. Focus on one thing, develop a skill set, and then start multitasking. That's the only expectation from the millennials we have.
And Priyanka, the other thing is this industry is very resilient and it is very vast. There are so many things which have not even been covered. So till the pandemic came, there was no concept of staycation. Okay. So now you have staycations available on a beach, on a mountain, in a desert. So that is what they are catering to the new generation, whether you want to call them Z, X, Y, whatever you want to call them. They need an interesting Wi-Fi. As my colleague just mentioned, Prashant just mentioned, They are switching over from one social media to another. How do they operate their social media? They need a Wi-Fi. Okay, they need a good Wi-Fi. And if a place which is offering them a staycation, that kind of thing did not exist 2 years back. People used to go there and they were on a vacation. They were never on a staycation. Now there is, you can go down to coffee plantations, tea plantations. You can go to a beach and you can, hire a house for Airbnbs have made it facilitated that. So this industry is very resilient, very vast. You never know what you're looking for, but you will always find a niche and a boutique kind of a thing which is serving that. So these things exist. Only thing is there, you have to look at the right places. And the best way to look at right places is use the internet and technology available to you.
Vikram sir, would you like to add any points to this?
So while Priyanka, while all of us have talked primarily about technology, what I think so the workplace and hospitality would certainly do is give you a very flexible environment to pursue your goals. And how does the industry give you that? Is because there are multiple avenues now. We didn't have a revenue management team maybe a couple of years back. Now revenue management is a career option. Marketing has never been so strong. The designations have evolved over a period of time. If I talk about, there used to be from an HR domain, there used to be something called as an IR manager before. Now that designation moved on to become a personal manager. Then it moved on to called upon human resources manager. Now the designation moves to become a talent and culture engagement manager. So while these words are different, what it also tells us is the industry has got different. So the industry has changed, and the expectation that the employee has from the industry has changed over a period of time. So today's work environment is primarily focusing on engaging our employees. It's primarily focusing on developing their strengths rather than weaknesses, rather than focusing on their weaknesses, and giving them a platform to experiment. I think so that is what you can expect from the industry today. We will not be able to go 100% work from home because our industry is not that. That is for sure. However, that flexibility will come into picture for some segment of employees in the industry, from a sales and marketing point of view, from a revenue point of view, from an support department's point of view. There is immense opportunity, and I see the logistics space getting evolved a lot more than ever in the next 3 to 5 years. That is where I feel the technology will play a good amount of role, the way we manage our inventories. And I think so we all as an industry, I think so, we will move on to a lighter mode of inventory model, and that would only be possible with swift logistic approach. I think so that is one space which this industry will certainly innovate, right from how do we buy vegetables from the local market, or how do we buy the beds from the markets all over the place. So yes, that is what you can expect from the industry, a more engaged environment, a more open environment than it has been before, say an environment where your voice is being heard like never before. So yes, interesting times coming our way from an employee point of view.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you so much, sir, for clearing the doubts of the students along with myself. Now I would like to introduce. Now I would like to conference which we are starting on the day of National Tourism Day. The first one is Startupscape. As the respected industrialist Mr. Dhirubhai Ambani once said, The success of young entrepreneurs will be the key to India's transformation in the new millennium. This entrepreneurial mindset is very important for the tourism and hospitality industry during this time. To fan its growth in the students of our nation, we are introducing a national level competition, Startup Scale. In this competition, you can show up your business acumen along with innovative ideas for new businesses in the tourism and the hospitality industry. The second one is the Tales of Travel. We take photos as a return ticket to a moment otherwise gone. The moment which we live at a place cannot be again seen other than through photos and videos. Atithya is excited to present a videographic competition through which you can share your stories to the world. You can share your unique experiences at a location and share it with the world in the form of a video. Participate in either of these competitions and the winners have an exciting prizes up to 10,000 rupees. Now I request Mansimran Kaur to take forward the event.
Thank you, Sri Krishna. So while concluding this session, I would like to extend my sincere gratitude towards our guest speakers for sparing their valuable time. Since this panel discussion certainly benefited from your breadth of knowledge and depth of expertise, so I would like to reiterate a few key takeaways from the panel discussion. So in the beginning of the discussion, Dr. Subhash Goel revealed technology is going to be a crucial factor of change. So everyone needs to adapt to it. Then Mr. Shashwat Sharma added another perspective by stating that only those survive who actually take difficulty as an opportunity rather than a disparity. Following that, Mr. Vikrant Sharma pointed out that diversity and inclusion are actually the drivers of change. Diversity needs to be there in all aspects. Afterwards, Mr. Prashant Singh suggested that loyalty is needed to embrace change. People who sustain challenges and have skills can bring change, and we should focus on a career, not a job. We should work on long-term goals actually. And at last, Mr. Rajesh Rakita concluded the discussion by stating that agility does not come from reactions, it comes from responses. All thanks to your enlightening words that inspired so many people out here. I would also like to thank the director of AMSR Mall, Professor Dr. Neelu Rometra, Mr. Amrinder Singh, Professor Vikrant, and administration as well as the IT team and media cell of AMSR Mall for helping us make this event a great success. In addition to this, I also remain most grateful for the rapt attention with which the students of AMSR Mall sat through this lecture. It's the audience like you who actually makes the sessions fruitful. So thank you very much for your unwavering attention throughout this conclave. And before leaving the session, please put your roll numbers and names in the chat box and have a great day. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Everyone.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Pleasure. Bye.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.